And Valina, thank you so much for being here. And Valina actually joined me on the first investor series, which was like a debut. We didn't really know what to expect, except we wanted to have fun. And our operating thesis that we both share is that the world is being bifurcated, and that the U.S. and China kind of won the world. And now everybody's having to choose their allies, very rigidly choose their allies, while as before it could be ad hoc, right? They could take a little piece from a whole bunch of things. And U.S. and China, because innovation is so expensive, are looking downstream. They're both competing for Africa. They're both competing in their own way for India, for what's going to be the nucleus of innovation and who's got the most developed side, who's got the most developed supply chains, the densest supply chains. It's very interesting. So Valina asked, and thank you again, says, hello, Adam and Ian. Great talk. Could you name 3 sectors that would be great for startups in 2021?
Yeah. So I'll tell you how we've organized the firm and give you some color. So one of the 3 for us is fintech and insurance. And, that's a huge overarching space. So we break that up further into consumer and enterprise. And then even in enterprise, we've got 5 or 6 different software-based theses areas. And then in consumer, we have a number 2. But so I think there's going to be continued innovation in the fintech and insurance space. In spite, Adam, of what you may think about cartels and existing businesses trying to set up moats, there's so much happening that I think it will be very hard for the big legacy banks to keep the genie in the bottle.
With banks, I certainly agree. Banks, I definitely agree. But I'm not a specialist in those things. I really, you've become a specialist in so many things, and it's just so remarkable hearing you discuss them. I stick to so few things, and I just know them really, really well. And we also discussed them a little bit over the weekend. My thesis for investing for the last several years has been there's going to be wars. And one of the things that I've been a very active investor is encryption. Encryption is taking over the world. And when you have Space Force, which we will have, encryption becomes vital. It's the way we're going to keep our satellites up there and the way we're going to keep our people safe.
Yeah. So I'd say, well, the second, I'll give the other 2 spaces really quickly, just so we can go through. No, the second space, I'd say, we're looking at enterprise software and specifically what we call intelligent applications. So there's this broader movement from on-prem to SaaS, and then SaaS to what? And more and more frequently, SaaS applications are being built with, I guess a framework where every incremental customer adds data to the app, which in turn you can write ML on top of and make the app smarter. And we're just seeing really interesting advancements there. And I bet that the Workdays and Salesforces and other established SaaS leaders are going to lose some share over the next 10 years to new entrants that are built on better ML frameworks and can therefore automate more business tasks. And then I think the third space, we're doing a lot at the moment in digital healthcare. One fascinating statistic. So before COVID, guess this, Adam, what percent of the US population pre-COVID had a telehealth visit?
I hate speculating, but I'm going to say 4%.
0.1.
Really?
0.1. We get what percent today, 10 months, 11 months later, has now had a telehealth visit?
Can I just say larger than that?
70.
Really?
70.
Wow.
Yeah. So do the math on that growth. And what does that mean? And we spent a lot of time thinking about this. I mean, it's.
Can I interrupt for just 1 second? Because it's so interesting. What about those people who are still very bandwidth constrained, whose entire internet experience is really kind of a small screen and kind of low bandwidth type of environment?
Telehealth. It's on their phone. It's remarkable. And broadband penetration through 4G, 5G is pretty high in the US. So Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Is there a consumer profile that you've been able, kind of like a psychographic demographic type of thing, in terms of age groups of the people who are kind of participants in that?
It's everybody.
And is there kind of a wealth bracket as well at this point? Are we seeing
I
people?
mean, we're talking everybody.
Wow.
That's a really population. I mean, it's a big number. This is everybody.
And what companies do you have in that category?
Eden Health, Octave for mental health, Brave Care for pediatric. I'm forgetting. So we have substance abuse. You know, the federal government, you couldn't pre-COVID prescribe the drugs that are used for opioid addiction. They are themselves a controlled class of substances. Now you can prescribe them through a doctor's telehealth visit. So, you know, we're seeing a sea change in the way that the entire healthcare space is navigating this, and telehealth's really effective. You know, I think over half of primary care visits can be avoided altogether through telehealth. So you just think about what that means. Like, your doctor can be anywhere in the world. You can get concierge quality medicine from the push of a button.
It's incredible. I remember companies that were kind of, I suppose at that time, innovative in the space, which was like Sherpa, if you remember those guys.
Oh, yeah.
And is this just kind
of...
Well,
I think the issue with like a Sherpa and the Gen 1 companies, which you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they involve bringing a doctor to you. And a lot of people were, you know, like, we'll bring a doctor to come to your house and do a house call. And the problem is the doctors are your really valuable resource. So you don't, and the traffic and scheduling is hard. So you want to utilize them and keep them in a central place where everything is done. You just minimize travel time. So, you know, telehealth is a perfect solution because you don't have to travel at all. Nobody travels.
Remarkable. So